Oh, hey guys, sorry about the technical difficulties trying to do this video live. For whatever reason, my internet's been dropping all morning, even with other clients. And of course, it would happen on the day that I want to do a live video. So I'm going to try to work this to the best that I can. I really wanted to do this live with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to premiere it on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll be there with you guys in the comments. So I'll be with you guys on this as it's happening, okay? And that's the best I can do. Otherwise, I'm going to get it sorted to do the live video, because the way I see it is, this is my ego's way of trying to create a situation so I don't go live and I don't get vulnerable. And I'm just not about to allow that to happen. Like, I plan on doing this and I'm going to do it. And this is what tried to happen when I was in New York. And it always seems to be a connection issue. And that is so poignant for what I need to talk to you guys about. And that's how I know I really need to do this video. So this is actually the third time I'm doing this video, because I did record this and my mic was turned inside and was muffled the entire time. So yeah, so I get to go through crying again with you guys multiple times. This is going to be an emotional day for me. So let's just get into it and get to the heart of it. I want to talk to you guys about the inner child. I've been talking a lot about this through the AlcheME program, for those of you who are there, and I promise you I do this video. Also, for those of you who are just watching my videos on YouTube, this is important information for you in your healing journey. Not just your healing journey for you to experience a quantum healing experience, but also for you in understanding how this will propel you in your quantum manifestation abilities and allowing you to create more of what you want. So as I told you guys in my first video, episode 1, when I was in the doctor's office on the examination table waiting for them to come in for my pelvic exam, I got really scared and I just kind of started crying. Tears started welling up in my eyes. They started falling down my face, and I felt like I was 6 years old. The reason why I say 6 is because that's what came to me in an instant. When I was lying or sitting there on the table waiting, I'm like, why do I feel like I'm 6 years old? That was literally the question that I asked myself. And so I knew that something was trying to surface, that something wanted my attention. And so I booked a session with my beautiful friend, Rebecca Barfoot, who's been helping me on this healing journey for the last year now. And through the session, discovered that there is a repressed memory from this time period of like when I was 5 or 6 that is trying to surface, and time for healing. Now, the inner child has been trying to communicate things to me for a while. In fact, this feeling had been surfacing for a few weeks prior to the examination, but it really started to come to the forefront when I was on the table. So it's actually tied into the healing that I'm doing for my body. Everything's kind of very much tied in here. And what I realized through the session was that my inner child does not feel heard. She does not feel seen. She feels abandoned and completely banished. Because I have repressed this memory, I have literally banished it from my mind. Therefore, I've banished her and everything that happened to her at that time from my existence. And this actually really breaks my heart to connect with that feeling, because deep down I feel really bad. I feel really bad that I did that to her, and that she's been carrying this burden, this traumatic memory on her own for the last 35 years, basically. So I have had to really connect with her and promise her that I'm ready to hear everything that she needs to tell me about what happened at that time. And that I'm ready to kind of move through the fear. And the fear is pretty terrifying. It's very terrifying. And so I'm going to let you guys know some of the work that I've been doing with my inner child to help you understand how you can work with yours, and then also give you some of the pointers that I think might be helpful to you in understanding. So before I go any further, it's so important to understand that we are the creators of our entire reality. Everything that shows up in your personal reality, in your own experience, is a direct result of everything that's happening inside of you. Probably the biggest lesson I ever learned through my whole journey, especially when I went through a major awakening at 31, was I started to realize that everything that's happening inside of me is getting reflected into my external environment, my outside world. So my internal world reflects myself into this reality. So things would show up and be examples of what's happening inside of me for me to be aware of. So taking ownership of the fact that I'm creating my reality, I want to take you guys back to the time where, if you remember, in the fall, I guess it's still the fall, but in early September, I put out my live video, Ghosting, Dating in 5D. And I let you guys all know that I had been ghosted in the springtime by someone that I cared very much for and still do. And it was a very painful experience for me. I'm not going to really go into those details. I think I talked about them a little bit in that video, but it was a really painful time for me because I had wanted to give so much love and it was rejected. And rejected in the sense of just the person just disappeared basically. And when I went in to work with my inner child and wanted to do the healing, I realized very quickly that she was talking to me through that experience. I remember feeling like this person didn't want to see me, didn't want to hear me, and had pretended like I never existed by basically banishing me from their life by ghosting me. And when I made that connection, everything just kind of hit me like a cosmic 2x4 just kind of hit me on the head, and I just really understood it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he did to me what I did to my inner child. And this was my inner child's way of trying to get my attention by creating something in my reality that would make me look inward and understand. And so when I think back to that time, I was devastated. That pain was devastating to me. And when I remembered that pain, it made me think that's what my inner child must have been feeling when I banished her. And that just breaks my heart that I would do that to myself. And I'm a firm believer. Oh, I thought I had my Kleenex around here. Sorry guys, I'm gonna be wiping my nose and all that kind of stuff on this video. This is about as raw and real as it gets. So I apologize for that. But when I realized I cannot be mad at someone for doing to me what I'm doing to myself, it's just kind of one of my rules. It's seriously one of my rules. There's just no way. I kind of have this kind of tough love kind of teacher reality check with myself, where it's hey, you can't get mad at someone for doing exactly to you what you're doing to yourself. And so in a way, what I did was I zero-pointed that total experience with that person by understanding it was a gift. And I held so much gratitude to this person for trying to make me aware or being part of a scenario that would help me bring awareness to this. And so this experience allowed me to zero point at least the pain from that time period. I do not have an emotional charge around that period of time, other than the feeling that I did that to myself as a child. That is, to me, much more heartbreaking. And so I was like, okay, she doesn't feel heard, she doesn't feel seen. It's time for me to show up for her. I have to show up for her. And so every night I go into meditation and I call her in. And I want to say first here, before we go any further, meditation is not the only way you can connect with your inner child. I know not everyone meditates. I know a lot of people find difficulty around it. So for those of you who that is the case, just stick around, because there are other ways that you can connect with your inner child. But see, I have to clear my voice, is because I'm having to reconnect the lost parts of myself that I have forgotten. So the whole purpose of me going into meditation is, one, to let my inner child know she's not alone, to let her know I am no longer abandoning her, that I am ready to hear everything that she needs to tell me, that I am willing to listen to everything and accept her and all of the trauma that comes with it fully, and to let her know that she's never going to be unsafe again, that I'm always going to be there for her. And it may sound a little bit kind of woo-woo-ish to some people, like, oh, like you're talking to yourself or whatever, but that inner child is the gateway to all of your healing, the gateway to all that you want to manifest in this life. It is the gateway to your joy and your pure bliss in this world. It is also the gateway to union of yourself. We go through so much trauma as a child, okay, in various forms, in different levels, okay, and magnitudes of it, whether it's just painful experiences that we take on. Remember, as a child, the world seems way bigger than it does when you're an adult, okay? So what may seem minor to an adult seems like the world is ending to a child, and we take that vibration on, we take that emotion on and store it in our bodies, in the memories of our cells. Those experiences. And so we have to remember that when we're going back in healing, that these periods of time, a lot of our painful experiences are rooted in our childhood. So in order for us to get to the root of the pain, to be able to clear the entire body system, the energy body, the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, in order to clear all those bodies, we have to go back into where the origination point is. We have to get to the 0 point field. And so I've been going into meditation with her, and she's been letting me know how she feels, and I connect with those feelings. I'm very empathic. I can connect very easily through the emotional body. So this is one of the ways I know she's been trying to reach me. For some of you, it may be vision, it may be clairaudience, like you may hear them speaking to you. But for me, a lot of it is feeling. And she's been communicating things to me. One time we went into my Akashic Records, which I'm going to do a video on that for you guys, on how I get taken into my Akashic Records. I don't feel like it's specifically how a lot of people access their Akashic Records, but it's kind of how I've been taken in. And I've been getting clues now. One of the coolest things that's happened since I've been working with her, though, is that we were sitting on a sofa in the galaxy, okay? A red heart-shaped sofa that was in a heart-shaped kind of like space, I guess. I don't even know what to call it. And this woman, who was so beautiful, came to us and kind of was just floating in front of us, kind of like a priestess. She was gorgeous. She had a diamond right here in the third eye, with a black band that went around her forehead, she was wearing a white robe type dress with a black belt, beautiful long blonde hair. And she was assisting us in holding an energy field around us for me to merge my inner child back into wholeness with me. And so what I saw was everything started to make sense towards the end. I didn't understand as it was happening, but we're literally sitting on this heart, on a heart-shaped kind of like sofa, which kind of seems tacky, but the metaphor is that we were in the seat of the heart together. And I could see my inner child, like I pulled her into my lap and I held her in my lap, and I could see her getting more transparent and merging into myself. And I could see that this was a union happening of me bringing my child back into union with me as an adult, and allowing her to fully be part of me. This was a way for me to bring her back in and let her know she was never disconnected from me anymore, that she was no longer banished. And so the feelings that have been surfacing have been terror, because there is something that happened to me as a child that I don't know. I have no recollection of it still to this exact moment where I'm doing this video with you guys, of what it is, other than I have a feeling it has to do with a sexual violation as a child. And I don't know any of the people that are involved. I don't know where it's happened. I don't even know if that's for sure what it is, but that's what it feels like. And so there's a lot of fear around allowing that to come back in. One of my greatest fears that I have to let go of is the fear of knowing what I know and allowing these parts to come home to me. And I have to allow them to come home to me because they're part of my inner child, and I've dedicated and committed to her that she's no longer not part of me. And so I've been doing this work of really bringing her in, and it's allowed for some quantum healing for me to happen, as well as creating some quantum shifts in my reality in ways that I didn't know were even possible, bringing in more communication and love. And for you guys to connect with your inner child, one of the easiest ways that you can do it, this is probably the number one thing you want to start with, is in your mind, when you go into meditation, whether it's in meditation or not, okay, you just want to connect with the feeling of holding your child self in your arms. Holding them close to you, letting them know how much you love them, letting them know how safe they are, letting them know how important they are to you, and just keep reiterating to them how much you love them and that you're always there for them. And through the connection of holding yourself, that nurturing will start to initiate many other things into action, into it'll kickstart a waveform of energy that will not be stopped, because this quantum healing, once it starts, it doesn't stop. It may go at a slower rate than others, but it won't stop. Once it's initiated. And so that's one of the first things that you can do. Okay, if you're having a difficult time of how to connect with your inner child, this is one of the best ways that I remember me doing it when I first started doing this back in 2016. And eventually she started talking to me, and she would look to me and say certain things. And I would ask her questions, and the answers that would come out of her mouth blew me away. And oftentimes I would burst into tears. I would absolutely burst into tears over some of the things she would say. They would be so simple, but so truthful that it hit my heart. It hits your heart like a dagger. And when you start to listen to what your inner child needs and you start to give that to them, you are assisting your own quantum healing. So you can also connect with your inner child through remembering the activities that you really enjoyed doing as a child. So for instance, with my AlcheME group over the weekend, I posted a picture of me putting together a puzzle or starting a puzzle. And it's because the weekend before, as I was connecting with my inner child, and actually it was I was just talking about my experience with my best friend Lisa. That's how it came through. Like, we were just talking to one another, and all of a sudden, like, it came in, the information. And I realized, oh, I want to do a puzzle. I want to do a puzzle. And when I went to go look at the puzzles to do, there was a Christmas scene, and I remember I loved Christmas as a kid. Like, it was my favorite time of year. And so I'm like, I'm going to do a Christmas puzzle. And I realized before I even started the puzzle, the metaphor, because my inner child, each night I go in with her and I spend about 10 minutes with her in meditation. I reassure her, I hold her. Sometimes she has information for me. Sometimes it's just, I'm just feeling the emotions and I'm letting myself cry and I'm letting everything just come to the surface. But sometimes she's giving me clues, and I've been receiving clues from this trauma. I don't have enough of the pieces yet to be able to even see a picture forming, but I'm getting the puzzle pieces. And that was the whole purpose of why I felt like the need to put myself into putting together a puzzle. Interestingly enough, I'm almost done, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to finish it. And I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I have to finish it, because this is an example of me. If I don't, I'm abandoning her again, and I'm abandoning the whole practice and exercise that she's trying to take me through to remember. And so being aware of all of this, your awareness is so key when you're going through this part of the journey. And so puzzles, that's the kind of one thing that I really liked doing as a kid. I also loved being in the forest. So sometimes I'll go on hikes to connect with my inner child. I loved ice cream as a kid. It was like one of my favorite things to eat. And so sometimes I'll get these urges like, oh wow, I really want an ice cream. And I check in, because sometimes it's just like my ego wanting an ice cream. But sometimes it's like my inner child, I can tell she just really wants ice cream. So I go and I get ice cream. Oh, okay, we want ice cream today. And I'm feeding her and letting her know she's being heard, she's being nurtured, and she's getting what she needs. And this is so important when you're connecting with your inner child, is pay attention to what your child's needs are, okay, from when you were a child. What does he or she want from you? What does he or she need in that moment? If you can connect with that, that's another way for you to start being in tune with your inner child, so that when the messages do come through, you're much more aware and you're much more able to grasp onto them. In meditation, what I do when I connect with my inner child is I almost always meet her in the forest. Not always, but almost always, because it's my favorite place as a kid. I loved the forest as a kid. It was like my happy place. And so when I see her there, I usually see her coming to me in outfits from when I was at that age, whatever age she's coming to me at. And I remember the haircuts, and I see her I see myself with that haircut, and I smile because all of a sudden I'm remembering that outfit. I'm remembering that time. And before we get into any kind of questions or I start talking to her, sometimes I'll just do an activity that I love. For instance, I love jumping in leaves. So a pile of leaves appears in my mind, and we just start jumping in it and doing leaf angels and things like that, to really kind of connect and kind of break the seriousness of the reason of why I'm going in there. Sometimes we'll just go on little hunts through the forest, scavenger hunts, or we'll go to the river and we'll just pay attention to what we see. Is there a frog there? Is there a fish, a crawfish or crayfish, whatever they're called? Whatever it is, I just pay attention, and then eventually something happens where I feel compelled to ask her a question, or she just turns to me and says something. Things will maybe appear. And this is how I connect and get closer to the answers that I'm seeking, closer to the answers she wants me to discover. And this is so important, because in order for us to come into union with ourselves, first and foremost, we must collect all of the fractal parts of us that are lost and bring them back home. And a lot of those fractal parts lie within the inner child. Okay, they happen through our childhood. And it's important to bring those back home and remember them, so that you can experience that healing. The healing through the inner child, because you're getting to the root of the issue, you're going straight to the source. it creates this quantum burst of healing, okay, into your energy field, allowing you to start neutralizing energies into gratitude through gratitude, and then allowing you to start jumping into timelines that are of a frequency that you wish for, okay, that are in that frequency of what you wish for yourself, in a sense of like, if you want to see yourself in a certain relationship, or you want to see yourself doing a certain thing that you love in life, okay, but you haven't been able to manifest that yet. This is one of the fastest ways that you can expedite that process, because the more that you bring into wholeness within yourself, the more you project that wholeness into your reality, okay, into your quantum field. And that quantum field then starts to interact with you and create, and it now becomes the projection of what you want. Okay, so this is why the inner child is the fastest way for quantum healing, in my opinion. And it's one of the ways that I'm currently right now going through a lot of my healing. And it's bringing up a lot of emotions. It's bringing up a lot of emotions. And I think one of the things that is breaking my heart the most is how much I abandoned her. And knowing how much I want to be a mom, it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. So I want to thank actually all of you guys for the comments on the last video, on my first video. It was overwhelmingly incredible. I felt so embraced. I felt so held. You guys have no idea how important that is for this part of my journey. And I thank you guys all for just lending your support. Brian, you left one of the most beautiful comments on the last video. I mean, not to take away from anyone else's comments, because they all were beautiful, but yours in particular really hit home for me. And when you mentioned about how this was just all helping me become a better mom, and how to make my children safe one day, and know what that feels like, so that I can give that to them. You were like spot on, and I keep thinking about that and see how this is all prepping me for becoming like a better mom one day, when that time comes. And so I just want to thank you guys all for the support. And sorry for my running nose. I thought I had Kleenex around. I guess I don't. But this is my raw and real video, so this is about as raw and real as it gets. So anyways, guys, this is, I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much. If you guys have any questions about the inner child, you can leave them in the comments below. Also, if you guys want to be part of my AlcheME program, I go into a lot of this stuff in the program, and I share more of the details. It's only $11 a month, and you get access to so much stuff. Everything's archived, so you won't miss anything that's already been uploaded. And it's a continuous program, which means you can jump in at any time, okay? We'd love to have you part of the group. I've got some amazing people in there who are dropping some amazing insights, and they're all starting to feel like family to me. So I'd love for you to be part of it. Guys, I love you so much, and hopefully for my next Raw and Real video, that one will be live. I will do my best to get the internet thing fixed. And yeah, I'll get an Ethernet cable if I need to. All right. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.